Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our studio. I am Scott, coming to you from Toronto.
And I'm Andy in the United Kingdom, as always.
Good to see you again, Andy. Thanks for joining me and doing another episode. I appreciate the fact that you keep coming back every week.
It's a pleasure. You can try and keep me away.
This is the Tea and Timbits podcast, where we talk about global perspectives on business development to help you prosper. This is the month of March on this podcast, and we are doing a theme on spring cleaning. Everything that you need to do to tidy up your mind, your life, your business development. This week, we had a note that we were going to talk about how that applies to transformational leadership, to focus on growth specifically. And I am looking forward to that discussion, Andy, because I'm curious what you had in mind when you mentioned that topic. Before I let you get there, though, I would like to know what reflections you've had recently that you feel are worthy of sharing to our audience.
It is a recurring theme. When I say recurring, I see it a lot, but I have also spoken about it on the podcast previously. But it is something that, because it keeps coming up, I still think it's worthwhile mentioning when it happens. I was with a customer this week, and let's just say it was a less than favourable meeting that took place, and the reason for that is the salesperson who I was out with, and hadn't done any preparation. And when I say hadn't done any preparation, I mean literally had booked the meeting, no agenda, no research, nothing at all.
Yeah.
So we turned up there. The customer didn't really know what the reason for the meeting was. I say customer, the prospect.
The prospect.
The prospect asked, so why are you here? Tell us about yourself. What do you want to do? And this person was totally lost. Didn't know how to respond to even that question. Didn't have an agenda for themselves even.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thought they were just going to turn up in the meeting and then get a contract or something. I have no idea what they had in mind at all. It was really odd. But they knew nothing about the customer's company. They knew nothing about the relevance of their solution for this particular company. And they also had, like I say, no strategy, no structure, no plan, no nothing. It was just, a name on a list that they had managed to get an appointment with, and that was it. They turned up and they went there.
Mm-hmm.
And it highlighted to me, obviously, why I had been there. And I'm not advocating for all organizations out there to stop doing this, because you're keeping me in business. So please keep those salespeople in your organization.
If you're smart enough to recognize they have a problem, carry on.
But exactly, recognize that you have a problem, and then invite people like myself to come in and help guide in a good way to implement some sales processes and procedures. But that was a real coaching moment, a real eye opener, because you do often forget that, unfortunately, this does come from the leadership, that there is no leadership, there is no structure, there's no training, there's no organization. So the salespeople are told, here's your car, here's your list, here's your region, off you go and sell the product. And they have to kind of figure it out for themselves. And this is what happens when it's like that. So, listen to podcasts, read some books. And if you're a manager of these teams, recognize it, and don't just get someone external to come in, but actually get some coaching for yourself as well to lead your teams, because if they're being inefficient and not selling, it's going to roll back onto you as well. It was just a good reminder for me, because it was quite an extreme case that I hadn't seen for a while, and it sort of really kicked me back into the right mindset, going, sorry, it's not always just topping up that little bit or creating a little bit of structure. Sometimes it's the fundamental basics that you need to get in there before you can do anything else.
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago I was telling a story about my whiteboard on the wall?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's still there. Hasn't fallen off the wall yet, and I haven't erased the thing that I said I needed to clean up. The number one, it says priority number one, process adherence, and the first sub bullet is meeting has agendas, structure, and context.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like so fundamental. Yet
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
cannot believe it happened to me this week, 2 weeks ago as well. It
Oh,
was,
as well. Okay.
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, somebody came and I was like, good reminder.
It is a good reminder. That's what I mean. It's not necessarily a bad thing when you experience this, but it is
It's an opportunity.
astounding to me that
Yeah.
the fundamental basics of sales are not something that is part of
That's
a
just
an
fundamentals of
organization's
business.
routine to put in
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you bringing that forward and solidifying that in everybody's mind who's actually listening. So thank you. We do need these reminders again and again, and I hope it's not too soon before you impart the same reminder on us. But if it is, we'll give you the space to bring it up again. Moving on to our topic today in our theme of spring cleaning, transformational leadership to focus on growth. Andy, why does this have anything to do with spring cleaning?
It has everything to do with spring cleaning. It's about taking that step back and then looking about, how are you going to move things further forward? And when we're talking about spring cleaning, we're talking about changing from the bad habits that we've got in place, changing from the structures that we have that are not working, changing from the actions that we're taking that are not adding value. And as I alluded to in the story there, this is the leader's responsibility to make sure that their team are doing all of the right things in the right way, and that the leaders are coaching the team to do these things in the right way. And so it's not just about basic leadership. This is about transforming an organization, transforming procedures, transforming processes, and transforming the success of the sales team by taking certain actions and certain steps in order to progress things in a more positive and more beneficial way for everybody involved.
So, in your mind, this is about taking a step back.
Yeah.
It's about completing an audit, a mental audit of your current business context, your people, your scenario. We've talked about tools, but it is I think what you're saying is it's more wholesomely analyzing what needs to change.
Yeah, because in order to create, or it's taking a step back so that you can take a leap forward.
Mm-hmm. So the only way you're going to grow is, well, I guess not the only way, but you're saying that, by you're saying, you're saying,
Yeah. So we've said about taking step back, and we'll
yeah,
stick to that theme. When you're close up to something, you can't
yeah,
always see the big picture.
yeah,
But if you take a step back and look at things from above, look at things from a whole,
mm-hmm.
then you can identify what things are not quite fitting,
Right.
what things are not necessary, what things are needed to be added as well,
Mm-hmm.
that are missing, and then you can create an inspirational vision for the team. And this is the thing; it's about inspiring as well.
Yeah.
In order to get a transformation, you've got to get people excited. You've got to take people on a journey with you. You've got to help them to see where you're going, and then help them to understand the journey that you're taking them on. And this is not just about vision and goals. This is about emotional intelligence and trust building as well. I mean, the role of empathy, authenticity, and everything like that in the leadership is so important to success. And then the ongoing mentoring as well is also very important, keeping you on the right path there, and then making sure that your organizational structure to support this is correct and that the right people are in the right roles.
Yeah. And I know that, our audience is pretty diverse, and we have leaders and we have individual contributors who tune in, which we appreciate all of you. And a lot of times we do sort of focus on the entrepreneur, the business leader, the sales executive. What do you do if you are on the individual contributor end of the spectrum. You're just starting your career, you're working your way up, or maybe you don't even aspire to leadership, because there's plenty of senior, high contributing individual
Absolutely.
contributors. So when it comes to sort of this step back and transformational leadership, how does it apply to the individual as well, or does it?
It really does. It really does. And whilst my perspective and my explanation was very much from that leadership perspective, it's very important that you are, as an individual contributor, asking these questions of yourself. Where are we going? What am I trying to achieve? How am I going to achieve that? I've been told I've got to achieve these certain things in this particular timeline with these particular customers in this particular market. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
So don't just ask those questions of yourself, ask those questions of your leaders. And yes, they may feel frustrated because they haven't thought about it themselves, but in a way you're kind of coaching up, because that's important. And it's important that there is this understanding of how to achieve those goals, whether they're your individual ones or whether they're a team's goals. Understanding the impact of what you're doing and contributing to the organization and how you're going to do that. It's leadership of yourself, and it's transformational leadership of yourself. So taking that step back and looking at your own region, how you're approaching things, how you're approaching your sales process, how you're approaching the other people in the organization that are helping you to achieve those goals, is also very important.
Yeah. And as this all makes sense now. It's a perfectly suited topic for our month. I'm glad that you put it on there and have given everybody, including me, sort of some time to digest that perspective. And as I'm listening to you, I can't help but think, there's a little bit of independent thought that I think has to go into doing this successfully, but I don't think it can be done without some other input and collaboration and feedback and exploration with colleagues, peers, friends, family. And I think it is also a little bit of a like in my mind, how if I were to set some time aside and sit down and do this, it would take the shape of an actual inventory. It would be like, let me look back through my calendar. Let me look back through every month, every week, every day. What kinds of things are taking place that have been the most productive in whatever that time scale is? What are the things that have held me back or have distracted me unnecessarily or disproportionately? Where have I found success? Where have I failed? And get a sense of that for myself. But then I would also try very hard to explore that through open-ended questions of those other sort of thought partners, without saying like, well, do you think I did this specific thing right or wrong? Yeah. It's more like, hey, like you've been around me, you know me. Where do you think, what are my strengths and weaknesses? And it's hard to get a lot of that totally unbiased or unfiltered, but you talk to a few people, the themes will emerge. And I think that then gives you the time, the information to go and sort of do this activity effectively. And that for even leaders to do individually would be highly productive as well.
Yeah, that's right. And it kind of creates, I suppose, an environment for yourself or for your team that allows you to feel much more confident when things change in the market or in the business circumstances, because you've got a clear understanding of your plan, you've got a clear understanding of your direction, you've got a clear understanding of how you're going to do it, and you've got a clear understanding of where and how you fit into the organization and the overall business goals.
Yeah. When we don't have a real clear routine of doing something like this with the team that I work with on the regular basis, but from time to time we do end up in these like blue sky conversation moments, and we even sort of call them that. It's like hold on, we got some extra time here, or hey, do you mind if we do some blue sky thinking? I've been reflecting on XYZ. It's kind of got some similar vibes to that for me. It's like it's really hard, I think, to have the right kind of most constructive space to allow for this to happen without certain. It's not a complaint session, right? It is really about sort of where are things tactically getting in the way. This isn't a strategic planning exercise, is what I'm saying, but it's a little bit more tactical when it comes to sort of spring cleaning and decluttering. Would you agree with that?
Yes, completely. I think that the last two episodes have been very much sort of focused on those areas, and bringing that together creates a platform that allows you to create this environment where you can take those, because it's not all about just reflecting backwards about what you're doing, what you're not doing, and how you can, help the day to day. It's about that long-term big picture as well.
Well, and I like that it is about sort of small step back to leap forward. This is about growth. And so I think there are things that we do that we just wish we had, bad habits and whatnot, but this is also about putting it in the context of like, how do I level up? How do I get out of the status quo and continue to make advancements? But having just said that, at the same time, my mind is going, whoa, wait a minute. Be careful that the moment is appropriate for, is the environment and the current situation conducive to a level up? Are we in a moment where that energy is going to be matched by the situation, the context, the business moment? Or is it also about making sure that, like, we're in delivery mode right now, and I think that just also sort of thinking about how ambitious you're trying or needing to be at the moment has to be balanced in this activity.
And that's where the leadership element of this really comes in, because it's having that understanding of how the big picture business goals apply to the current circumstances. So because you've taken that step back, you can see that bigger picture, and you have that understanding of what do we need to achieve now?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to get to this big goal that we have in the future? What steps do we need to take to get there, and what actions are we going to be taking while we're doing that?
Right.
And then, of course, having an understanding of your pipeline and the opportunities and the customer's environment and the market situations that you're in will allow you to then make a determined plan of what actions you're going to be taking when, and making sure that none of the stuff in terms of delivery, in terms of sales activity, in terms of proactive and reactive business development will fall off, because it will all be structured and planned in a very, very good way. And if you've done the decluttering exercise and surrounded yourself with the right tools, then you will be in a very, very strong position to deliver on all of those things, and it won't feel uncomfortable, it won't feel jarring, and it will be successful.
Well, I think you've just summed it up very nicely there. So I won't try. That was a really good sort of summary of the discussion. And you've also hinted and teed up what I think we're going to get to in our last episode this month, more specifically about pipeline hygiene and cleaning up that. So thank you for bringing this one forward. You've really got me thinking deeply on this one. I wasn't expecting that 18 minutes ago. So well worth it. And if any of you would like to think deeply or just laugh at our ramblings, please, they're all there for your consumption, endless. Go to teaandtimbits.com. Thanks, Andy. Looking forward to the next chat.
Thank you very much, Scott.